Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. We're seeing last-ditch efforts to revive a case that may very well be dead in the water. A group is hoping the Supreme Court will change its mind over a ruling that killed Vice President Duterte's impeachment at least this year.
And hope is also alive among families of missing Sabungeros. They have just filed criminal complaints against gambling industry heavyweights allegedly behind a massive crime.
And optimism is also the word for the DILG, who believe that Metro Manila's traffic can be solved one initiative at a time. Its latest proposal, ban parking on Metro Manila streets.
Karamihan ng mga sentimento ng kapwa senador ko is to abide by the ruling of the Supreme Court. Sabi ng Supreme Court, Senate has no jurisdiction.
The spirit of the Constitution is for us to be able to hold our officials accountable po. And what the Supreme Court did has reversed that spirit.
Moves to reverse the Supreme Court's July 25 ruling on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment complaint has begun. The first legal salvo came from citizen complainants, the same ones who filed the first ouster case against the VP in December. Tindig Pilipinas filed a motion for reconsideration before the High Tribunal, defending the fourth impeachment complaint and why it was not unconstitutional. The petitioner said the SC decision weakened democratic accountability as it set a dangerous precedent to holding officials responsible through legal ouster. Complainant Dr. Sylvia Estrada Claudio said their motion also serves as a reminder the legal system must remain accessible to those who seek to challenge abuse of power.
We don't believe that this is the spirit of the Constitution. The spirit of the Constitution is for us to be able to hold our officials accountable po. And what the Supreme Court did has reversed that spirit. Kami nga po na parang nadismaya kami na yung impeachment complaint namin, ang ginamit pa ng Supreme Court para pigilin yung impeachment trial.
Meanwhile, members of the University of the Philippines College of Law added to the voices of dissent to the Supreme Court ruling. In a statement, the UP Law faculty cited precedents showing courts traditionally respecting Congress's independence over impeachment proceedings. The statement went on to ask all democratic institutions to act in accordance with these fundamental principles. Meantime, Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada today said that come August 6, the Senate may vote to abide by the Supreme Court's decision on VP Duterte's impeachment. We have him on the show tonight. Good evening, Senator Estrada. Welcome to the big story.
Hi, good evening, Ces. Good evening, Sean, and good evening, Pauline, and to all televiewers, good evening.
Thank you for giving us that time. You have said that there are already 20 senators who are of the mind that you should abide by the Supreme Court's decision, even if there is now a motion for reconsideration that was just filed.
Yes, approximately around 19 to 20 senators have intended to comply with the or to abide with the Supreme Court decision, not to push through with the impeachment trial, since according to the Supreme Court, it is already executory, and according to the Supreme Court, the Senate has no jurisdiction whatsoever. So we have to comply with the. I personally will have to comply with the resolution of the Supreme Court.
And these 19 to 20 senators have already, have they signed their name to a resolution? Have you
No,
spoken to them?
there is no resolution. We will put it into a vote come August 6th, this coming Wednesday.
Even if the House of Representatives, your co-equal body, has indicated it will also file a motion for reconsideration.
Yes, they have indicated that they will file a motion for reconsideration. I think their deadline is on August 11. But if whenever the Supreme Court decides to overturn their decision and grant the motion for reconsideration of the House of Representatives, then that's the time that we will convene as an impeachment court.
Okay, so because a lot of the legal experts who have been weighing in on this issue, Senator, they're saying hantayin na lang no matapos yung pag-file at madesisyonan ng Supreme Court itong motion for reconsideration of the House. So would you think or napag-usapan na ba ng majority in the Senate kahit unofficially na
To comply or not with the decision of the Supreme Court. But if, as I've told you, as I've mentioned earlier, if and when the Supreme Court decides to overturn their own decision, then that's the time we will convene as an impeachment court.
So the motion will be merely to comply
Obey.
unless
To
the
comply.
Supreme Court decides otherwise.
Yes.
Parang ganun. So parang, bakit po ayaw ninyong mag-antay muna? I mean, you waited so long anyway.
Hindi naman sa ayaw namin maghintay. Kailangan namin pagbotohan kaagad dahil siyempre yung publiko naghihintay kung ano gagawin ng Senate. At napag-usapan namin sa all Senators Caucus yan that we will really put into a vote the decision of the Supreme Court.
Well, Senator, there are some concerns following the decision of the Supreme Court to make this whole process quite very difficult now in holding public officials accountable. What do you have to say to that, Senator? Because yes, go ahead.
Well, there are a lot of differing opinions amongst former justices, the legal luminaries. But of course, I, being a non-lawyer, will have to strictly obey with the decision of the Supreme Court. Kasi meron mga ibang nagsasabi nga dyan na mas mataas pa daw impeachment court kaysa sa Supreme Court. I beg to disagree. Mas mataas pa rin ang Supreme Court. Sino pa bang, kung hindi kami mambabatas, kami gumagawa ng batas, we formulate, we enact laws, and kung hindi namin susundin ang Korte Suprema, sino pa susunod sa Korte Suprema?
And one take here also, Senator, kasi is dapat daw prospective na lang itong ruling instead of retroactive, or it shouldn't apply to this current impeachment complaint because when it was initiated, when it was crafted, hindi pa yun yung set of rules or yung understanding nila, appreciation nila doon sa Constitution.
Well, that is the opinion of the Supreme Court, so I cannot argue with it.
What about the minority? I think they have a resolution. If the majority does not have one, the 5 do, or 4 or 5 of them do. Have you spoken to the minority about what they want to do? Or talagang magbobotohan na lang?
I haven't seen or haven't read the resolution that has been circulating, and I think only 4 senators out of 24 senators have already signed it.
But dagdag ko lang, Senator, parang duda si Senador Tito Soto sa numerong binibigay nyo na 19 to 20. Are you confident in that number?
Yes, I am quite confident based on what we have discussed in our All Senators Caucus, based on their body languages, based on what they were saying. I think I'm confident that the majority will abide by the ruling of the Supreme Court.
All right. Now, moving to another issue, the open bycam that, well, the Senate and the House of Representatives seem to be in agreement. What is your own position?
Well, I am in favor of an open bycam for the people to know what is happening during the budget deliberations and the budget bycam. There's no problem with me.
There have been some bothersome allegations about Senate President Cheese Escudero. Do you have any view? Yung pagpunta po niya sa Kongreso, yung pagbuo ng maliit na committee, aside from the BICAM, meron pang...
Well, I have talked with Senate President Escudero with regard to the yung pagpunta niya ron sa House of Representatives, and he intimated to me that was a BICAM meeting with the presence of Senator Grace and everybody. So I don't think that is a big issue.
Would you agree with him that it may come from the House of Representatives? Ganyan na po bang kalalim ang iringan sa dalawang legislative bodies na nagtatapunan ng putik, if I may put it that way?
Well, I will reserve my comment on that.
Okay. So, itong mga supposed insertions, ganyan, the issues hounding basically Senate President Cheese Escudero, are you confident, Senator, being ikaw yung pro tempore, na stable at malakas, solid yung leadership sa Senado?
If you are going to ask me, I think solid yung leadership sa Senado. Super majority pa rin ang sumusuporta kay Senate President Cheese Escudero.
But at the same time, Senator, you were quoted earlier saying na stable ang leadership nga ni SP Cheese, but then anything can happen because history did dictate na kahit yung minority, dalawa lang, nagkaroon ng pagkakapalit sa liderato. If you can elaborate on that, Senator.
Anything can happen. As we speak, hanggat sa Lunes, anything can still happen.
So what does that mean for SP Cheese?
As long as they have the 13 votes to elect a new Senate President, magkakaroon tayo ng bagong Senate President as long as they have 13 votes.
So we shouldn't read too much into that statement, kumbaga? Or...
Yes.
Well, for you to say it this early...
Kahit bukas pwede kami tanggalin. Walang
Ganun
ako
po
sa
ba? Kabubuo lang. I mean, to say it this early kasi it seems to be very intriguing.
that.
What you said, that,
Anything can happen.
anything can happen at this very early stage when you had just, wala pang isang linggo.
Pero that is a remote possibility. Ang sinasabi ko lang, maraming pwedeng mangyari, no? Katulad ngayon, Friday ngayon, no, Saturday, Sunday, malay mo may mag-initiate ng mga proceedings na alam mo, ganun talaga sa Senate, biglaan lang nangyayari.
Okay.
But Senator, how would you describe...
But I don't think that will happen.
But Senator, how would you describe the dynamics now in the 20th Congress? Because the minority bloc is led by Senator Tito Soto, the most veteran, now on his 5th term as a senator, at mga kasama rin niya, mga veterano na rin po.
Well, alam mo, hanga-hanga naman ako kay Senator Tito Soto, kay Tito Sen. Kasi matagal ko na rin nakasama and is very well qualified to become the minority leader. At naman siya, hindi naman siya magiging obstructionist sa lahat ng mga gagawin namin sa Senado.
Okay, and talking about committee chairmanships naman, syempre maraming mga reactions, no, kung ano yung napunta sa kaninong senador. Ano pong masasabi niyo doon? Of course, Blue Ribbon.
Ang ganda ng ngiti ni Senator Jinggoy.
Well, yung sa Blue Ribbon Committee, nabigay kay Senator Rodante Marcoleta, there's always a first time. And this is, I must admit that this is the first time that it was been given to a neophyte senator and then a position at that. No? Pero with all due respect and fairness kay Senator Marcoleta, he is very qualified to handle that committee. He being a lawyer.
Okay, so walang kulay yon. We shouldn't read anything
Walang
into
kulay.
that.
Walang kulay yun.
Okay.
Now, let's go to your bill, unless we want to still ask about Senator Marcoleta. What if he investigates You
Kumbaga,
guys. You guys.
ma-weaponize,
Oo,
ganon, yung
ma-weaponize against the administration. Where will you stand?
I think Senator Marcoleta is just and fair.
Okay. At saka siguro clear na rin natin tong issue before we move to the bill of Senator Jinggoy.
sige.
Yung kasi usap-usapan sa social media na wala daw nakuhang committee, no, yung Senator Risa, pero eventually nagkaroon naman, di ba?
Si Senator Risa, merong hawakan ng committee yan. I think
Yung women and children.
Yung Women and Children, Committee on Women and Children, it's being offered to her.
Pero yung nagbibilangan po kasi, Senator, yung mga tao, bakit tig-iisa lang daw, pero yung iba, tig-tatlo, tig-dalawa, ganon.
Well,
May-
that's the spoils of wars are really divided
Normal
that way, di ba?
That's usually the case naman. Hindi naman
Yeah.
porket isang committee lang o tatlong committee lang, tatlong committee hawak mo. Ano lang yan, siguro they want to work harder, yung iba. At saka yung iba naman, like for example, si Senator Bam, yung kanyang advocacy, yung education, naibigyan naman namin yung Committee on Basic Education sa kanya. Si Senator Kiko Pangilinan, yung kanyang advocacy, agriculture, naibigyan naman natin sa kanya yung Committee on Agriculture. Si Senator Erwin Tulfo, he being a former Secretary of the Department of Social Welfare, nabigyan naman natin yung Committee on Social Services sa kanya. Kanya-kanyang advocacy yan.
And then, that's how you court the senators to support you. You give the committees, the powerful
No,
committees.
because we are in the majority. Ganyan, ganyan talaga. Yan.
Ganun
I was
talaga.
a member. I
Yes,
was a
sir.
member of the minority when I first entered the Senate in 2004.
What was your
Alam mo
committee?
talaga, it was a numbers game.
Yeah.
Panay-latak na lang yung naibibigay sa amin. When I was a member of the minority. Alam mo naman nila yun.
Yeah.
Alam nila Senator Soto yan. Alam nila Senator Mix yan.
So ano yung latak na tinanggap nyo noon?
Well, as far as my memory serves me right, ang nakuha ko ron is the Committee on Labor.
Labor.
Isang
Oh,
committee
di
lang.
naman latak yun. Kayo naman.
Isa lang yung committee yung hawak ko na.
Okay. Now let's go to your bill on the creation of the Department of Disaster Resilience. Why is it important to create another department if pwede namang under DNR yon or under the OCD?
Well, sa dami-dami ng bagyong nararanasan natin ngayon, I think it is very important to create a Department of Disaster Resilience. Kasi this measure proposes the creation of a Department of Disaster Resilience, which shall be the primary government agency responsible for leading, organizing, and management the national effort to reduce disaster risk and to prepare for and respond to disasters, recover and rehabilitate, and to build forward better after the occurrence of disasters.
So, hindi naman to magiging, kumbaga, siya yung taga-pasimuno or taga-pag-lead or oversee ng mga
Yeah,
different
siya lang-
flood
siya
control.
lang.
Since yun yung uso-uso.
Kung sakaling maging batas to at magkaroon ng creation disaster of Department of Disaster Resilience, ito magiging primary government agency na magiging to be responsible for leading and organizing the national effort to reduce the disaster risk.
Well, Senator, there were lots of promises made by President Marcos in his fourth SONA, and I wanted to ask particularly about his promise to return any proposed bill in the GAA na hindi daw aligned doon sa NEP ng Pangulo. Your reaction to that, Senator?
Well, that is a welcome development for all of us, not only for the legislators but for the Filipino people. Kaya nga bukas kami sa open BICAM para wala nang katanungan. At least makikita ng publiko kung ano yung pinag-uusapan sa BICAM.
And if pwede lang kami maka-pick your brain a little, no, Senator, kasi usap-usapan nga sinabi ni Congressman Toby Tiangco na meron daw small committee, and I don't think he was referring to small technical working groups. Would you know kung meron ba talagang ganon na nagyayari?
I cannot answer that. I am not a member of the House of Representatives.
But that's
That involves senators.
yes, supposedly
On our part,
within
on
the
part of the
BICAM
Senate?
itself.
On the part of the Senate, I am not aware of it.
Okay.
Okay, Senator, other priority legislations po in the 20th Congress. Perhaps online gambling as well. Will you be supporting the bills of your colleagues at the Senate?
We will have to study that further. But one of my priority bills is the abolition of the senior high school.
Senior.
Can you say that again, Senator?
One of my priority bills is the abolition of the senior high school.
Abolition. So, ano to parang...
Senior high school.
Oh.
Akala ko senior discount.
Hindi pa pwede yun kasi senior citizen
Magrarally
naman
ako
ako.
against that. No, just kidding. But anyways, senior high school, can you elaborate?
Excuse me?
You said the abolition
Of
of
senior.
senior high school.
Yes, because I have received a lot of letters and yung mga taong bayan mismo na lumalapit sa akin na talagang pampahirap yung karagdagang 2 taon sa kanilang mga anak, sa kanilang mga sa ating mga mag-aaral. Kasi I think that yung when we enacted that law, when we passed that law 10 to 12 years ago at hanggang ngayon, I think the K to 12 is a dismal failure. So para sa akin, not to burden the parents, na karagdagan gastos, tsaka karagdagang oras para sa ating mag-aral, mas mabuti pang i-abolish na natin yung senior high school.
So you want to go back
Kasi-
to the old K to 10.
K to
10.
Yes, but that is that will pass through a rigid committee hearing. Si Senator Bamakino will be chairing that particular committee on Basic Education, to hear both sides, all stakeholders concerned. Na kasi meron din mga stakeholders concerned na kailangang i-reform na lang yung batas ng K to 12. Marami rin umaalma na huwag tanggalin. Pero sa aking palagay, mas marami yung gustong tanggalin na, yung gusto i-abolish yung senior high school.
So in your mind, ang matitira parang yung similar po ba ito doon sa K to 10 na matatag curriculum? Parang ganon, more or less?
Yes, ako ibalik na lang sa dati kasi ang sabi kasi doon sa batas doon sa K to 12 nung pinasa namin yan a decade ago, pagka nakaka-graduate ka na ng senior high school, pwede ka na mag-apply ng trabaho. Anong nangyari? Ang hinahanap pa rin ng kumpanya, college graduate pa rin. So, useless. Di ba? Di sayang lang yung 2 taon. Di mag-graduate ka na ng college para makapaghanap ka ng trabaho. Mas madaling makatrabaho.
Pero Senator, wala yan dun sa SONA ni Pangulo, ha? Na, in fact, his SONA strengthens.
But yes, but he did not mention that in his SONA. Pero nung nilabas, when I filed that particular bill abolishing the senior high school, kumampi siya sa akin. I mean, nagsalita siya during one of his media interviews supporting my bill. Because he knew where I was coming from. Dahil maraming ang masang Pilipino na nagreklamo na talagang karagdagang gastos pa itong K to 12.
I recall him saying that parang he was he acknowledges the complaints. He acknowledges.
Yes. Even Secretary Angara, alam mo, tatay niya, si former Senator Ed Angara, siya yung nag-initiate ditong pagpasa ng K to 12. No? At mismo yung anak, si Secretary Angara, Education Secretary Angara, siya nagsabi na palpak yung K to 12 program.
But Senator, I believe ang sinabi po ni President Marcos in his SONA was that reforms ang kailangan sa senior high, and that's through tech VOC programs.
Yes.
At pati TESDA sa senior high.
Yes.
Well, siguro lalabas yan pagka magkaroon tayo ng committee hearing.
Any other priority legislation po from you, Senjing Goy?
Well, I think that's about it. Yung creation ng Department of Disaster Resilience, tsaka itong abolition ng senior high school.
All right, we thank you so much for your time, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Sana Monday
Ses.
kayo pa rin ang Senate President pro
Malamang naman,
tempore.
wala naman galaw, wala naman movement.
Thank you.
Happy weekend, Sen.
That
Thank
was
you, thank
Senate
you.
President pro tempore Jinggoy Estrada.
And in other news, the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, or BSKE, scheduled for December of this year, will be postponed. The Commission on Elections Chairman, George Garcia, confirmed today that President Bongbong Marcos is expected to sign the bill on August 12, deferring the BSKE. Under the measure, the next BSK elections will be moved to November of 2026. The bill also extends the terms of barangay and SK officials from the current 3 years to 4. Nevertheless, COMELEC will continue the ongoing 10-day voter registration in anticipation of possible legal challenges to this postponement.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, families of missing Sabungeros file criminal complaints against gambling tycoon Atong Ang and a few others. The full story when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
You're watching the big story here on One News. Metro Manila mayors have started discussing a resolution to ban all street parking possibly by September. Initial proposals suggest banning parking on NCR streets from 5 in the morning to 10 in the evening. But if the MMDA will have its way, it wants the ban imposed the same hours as the color coding scheme. Soon, there will be a technical working group meeting to discuss the suggestions and identify roads that should be declared no parking zones. But for DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla, this should be a no-brainer since all car owners are actually mandated by law to have their own parking spaces.
The intent is to make Metro Manila more livable. So we start with parking. It'll take 1 month to resolve on a granular basis. Ang mga mayors mag-identify. DPWH, they're going to identify yung major possible, major thoroughfares na kailangan no parking talaga. So we're going to be very strict about it. Gagawin namin ng a whole city map para makita na kung saan pwede pumarada at hindi.
Now let's discuss this with San Juan Mayor and Metro Manila Council Chief Francis Zamora. Good evening, Mayor Francis.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for having me in your program.
So are you already in agreement, most of the mayors, on banning street parking in Metro Manila?
Actually, this was discussed earlier during our council meeting, and some issues were raised. Allow me to share our experience here in San Juan, as it can be a good reference for everyone. In our mabuhay lanes, definitely, there's no parking allowed. In fact, when I became mayor in 2019, I removed all street pay parking that was previously being implemented, especially in the Green Hill Shopping Center area. So we have been very consistent with our road clearing efforts. But also, there are some roads, especially those that are considered interior roads, that the barangays allow parking in these areas because basically they are not within the main roads, so it does not affect the traffic flow. So what we discussed earlier is there will be no total ban for now because there will be a technical working group that will be established to determine per city which areas will be allowed for street parking. A lot of considerations have to be weighed in here because a total ban would really be very difficult because not all cities have the same demographics. So the suggestion of some mayors earlier was to basically submit to the technical working group which areas in their city they feel they will allow street parking without necessarily this affecting the traffic flow.
Hi, Mayor Zamora. It's Sean. And I'm from San Juan, I know what you've been doing. The mabuhay lanes come first, and then the clamping comes next, right? So, this has been tried in the previous admin, tinry na rin ni former President Duterte, and obviously it didn't really work. So do you think if we just kind of limit the areas, because I guess it's really impossible kahit may batas na bawal talaga na wala kang garahe kung may kotse ka. Do you think the mabuhay lanes would be, kumbaga, much easier to implement and mas mabilis nating ma-achieve?
Okay, Sean, I know you're from Green Hills, so you understand the situation, especially within our city jurisdiction. Yung time ni President Duterte, before I remember, talaga nagkaroon na ng road clearing operations. At ang mahalaga kasi rito, no, especially with mabuhay lane, yung implementation. Kasi minsan may mga nakikita tayong lugar, kahit mabuhay lane, pinapayagan pa rin ng parking. Ibig sabihin, hindi ina-apprehend. Kung magiging very strict tayo in terms of towing, clamping, ticketing, yung implementation natin, malaking bagay na yan. So kailangan lang very sustainable yung efforts natin, yung implementation natin. Ngayon, yung total ban, I honestly think magiging mahirap yun. Kasi meron naman talagang mga areas na kahit payagan mo halimbawa yung parking lang sa gabi or one-side parking, hindi naman siya nakaka-apekto talaga sa flow ng traffic. So we just really have to determine anong mga kalye pa talagang dapat totally bawal pumarada, alin naman ang pwedeng one-side parking, alam naman yung pwedeng sa gabi lang. So, hindi talaga ubra yung yung all-encompassing ban
Right,
per
but-
se. No? Kinakailangan talaga specific. Yeah.
Mayor, who is in charge of implementation? Will it be by LGU or is the MMDA the body that will implement this?
Okay. Meron po kasi tayong mga national roads, meron tayong mga local roads. But in our experience, pwede ho kasi magtulungan ng MMDA at LGUs because the MMDA does not have enough enforcers. No? Sa dami ng mga kalye po natin all over Metro Manila, hindi po kayang puro MMDA po yan. So it can be a joint undertaking, something that we're actually doing already. So ang kinakailangan talaga, ma-determine alin ba yung mga areas per city na pwede at hindi. And yun po yung babantayan jointly by the MMDA and LGU.
Mayor, how will this be implemented? No contact ba yan? Or will authorities still be on the ground? And how soon can we expect itong result ng inyong initial review?
Okay, sa ngayon po, ang pinapayagan pa lang na NCAP ay yung sa areas na controlled by the MMDA. So mayroon pa rin pong TRO doon sa mga LGUs na merong NCAP. So ang Supreme Court po ay merong TRO pa dyan. So pagdating po sa mga areas na hindi pa ho nasasakupan ng NCAP, that will still be your physical apprehension. Pero again, kakamit lang po namin kanina. The agreement is to form a technical working group and for all the cities to submit their recommendations. I'm sure we will meet again this August kasi ang deadline na binibigay po ni Secretary Remulla ay by September dapat ma-firm up na natin ito.
And punot dulo nga nito, Mayor Zamora, yung lumalalang sitwasyon ng traffic, hindi lang naman sa kung ano-anong lugar, pero yung buong Metro Manila, like we noticed, it's
This week was horrible.
horrible. Very, very horrible. Did you also discuss, like how to address? Kasi minsan, napapansin ko, lalo na pag boundary area, yung mga enforcer nitong LGU, wala na silang pake dun sa kung mabara yung kabilang LGU dahil nandun sila sa may gilid, di ba? Napag-usapan ba yung mga ganitong matters?
Are you talking about Mandaluyong and Pasig?
That's one. That's one of them, yes.
It wasn't discussed earlier, but again, given these situations, kinakailangan lang talaga merong tamang pag-transition lang. Because of course, boundary na ho yun, Wala nang jurisdiction ng enforcers ng San Juan over the Quezon City side, for instance, or Mandaluyong side. Pero hindi naman pwedeng sabihin mong hindi natin take into consideration yung kapitbahay nating city. No? So kinakailangan talaga ay talagang merong close coordination din po. Because remember, 17 LGUs in Metro Manila, 1 metropolis. Hindi natin pwedeng consider na San Juan lang, Mandaluyong lang, Quezon City lang. Kinakailangan talaga ang traffic management ay nag-overlap to the cities that are contiguous to us.
And there's been also this proposal to have a Metro Manila governor, which I think the last one was Imelda Marcos. Correct me if I'm wrong. At the moment, you're the closest, I guess, because you head the MMC. The closest thing we have.
Very peculiar po kasi ang Metro Manila, Unlike in the provinces, merong governor. Sa atin po, walang governor. The MMDA, of course, headed by Chairman Artes, ang implementing arm. Ang Metro Manila Council naman po ang policy-making body. So, ganyan po ang dynamic status sa Metro Manila at wala po tayong elected governor. So, medyo iba po tayo.
But would you be open kung dun sa panukalang yun na ibalik yung posisyon na yun? Or you think it works out fine now, yung current sistema na, kayo yung policy making and then mag-enforce si MMDA?
Well, actually, talagang, it will need a national law kung sakali yung magkakaroon ng pagbabago po dyan. But again, basta naman maayos po talagang coordination ng MMDA and mga LGUs natin, what's nice, and this is something that I can share po, maganda naman pong relationship ng mga Metro Manila mayors, nagkakaintindihan po kami, nagkakasundo po kami, nagtutulungan po kami. At ako po personally, napakaganda po ng relationship ko with the MMDA Chairman Don Artes. So it's important to have this good rapport amongst all the mayors and the MMDA Chairman kasi at the end of the day po, yung mga decisions na gagawin natin, yung mga implement natin, mga patakaran, kinakailangan po talaga ay sinusunod ng lahat. Hindi pwedeng merong mga city na pakiramdam nila they are above the other cities. Hindi pwedeng pakiramdam nila mas may kapangyarihan sila sa MMDA. No, kinakailangan talaga, let's subject ourselves to the same kind of laws and guidelines para maging mas maayos po ang implementation po natin.
Right. It's good now because you're all getting along, but in the past, there have been instances where we have mayors feuding and even not recognizing the MMDA. But this brings me now, Mayor, to the question of flood control because LGUs really have to work together kasi you share borders, you share waterways. So, because of what happened recently, where Metro Manila really experienced severe flooding, and this investigation also ordered by the President, what is the response of the Metro Manila mayors regarding this issue?
Okay, nag-usap po kami ni Chairman Don Artes about this, no? At meron na po kasing pina-finalize na Metro Manila Drainage Master Plan. The reality po here is talagang yung drainage system natin dito sa Metro Manila, napakaluma na. Kinakailangan talaga maplano ng mabuti. Kinakailangan ma-improve po ito. Hindi pwedeng individually cities lang gagalaw. Kinakailangan po talaga ma-plan siya as a whole metropolis because as you said, we are all interconnected.
Yes.
And you cannot just plan per city. No? Kinakailangan talaga ma-coordinate ito mabuti. And itong recent experiences po natin would really show na panahon na talaga, sa totoo lang. Panahon na once and for all maayos natin po ito. That's why I honestly welcome the position of the President, yung kanyang binanggit po ng State of the Nation address po niya. No? Alam niyo, saan ako natutuwa? Talagang nakikita niya na totoong may problema. Di ba? Mas mabuti yung nire-recognize natin na may mga problema talagang dapat na ayusin. At tumaasa po tayo na itong mga flood control projects ay talagang ma-implement po ng maayos. Kami po sa LGU, sa totoo lang, ako I speak for San Juan po, no? Wala naman po kaming sapat na pondo really para magsagawa ng sarili namin mga flood control projects. Yan po ay through the funds of the DPWH. Ang nagagawa po ng mga mayors, kami ang nagde-determine, halimbawa, alin yung mga flood-prone areas sa aming lungsod, ano mga barangays po dapat magtayo ng mga pumping stations, saan po dapat ang mga drainage improvement natin, ano mga barangay ito dapat gawin. No? So, yun po ang aming role dito. But the actual funding and implementation po ay national government. No? So, kinakailangan talaga ma-implement ito na maayos. Ang lahat ng pondong ilalaan para dito dapat talagang ma-implement po na maayos, ng tama. Di ba dapat walang mga magiging substandard projects because we really have to be able to solve this once and for all. And something that I would like to share also with you po, no? Kinakailangan maging responsable rin tayo sa ating solid waste management.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to point that out.
Oh, Mayor.
Kahit anong improvement po natin sa ating mga waterways, sa drainage systems po natin, kung puro basura lang naman po to, ganun din, magbabarera niyan at magbabaha din po.
Well, actually, Mayor, ang suggestion po ni Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, i-transfer na daw itong mga flood control programs, yung maintenance, yung system sa LGU instead of sa DPWH and sa MMDA para pagdating sa accountability, your constituents can pinpoint talaga na will hold our mayor accountable, will hold the LGU accountable. Do you agree with that suggestion, Mayor?
Well, ang problem po kasi, ang funds na ito ay from the national government, no? Unless they will download to us all of this funding, baka hindi yan magagawa na sabi mong ilipat sa amin ang pondo kasi DPWH funds ka po yan, national government funds yan, no? Like us in San Juan, Sean, we have a 3 billion peso budget. Most of that, ginagamit natin sa everyday maintenance sa ating city, sweldo ng mga empleyado natin, mga kuryente, utilities, no? So, wala tayong sapat na pondo talaga. Pero kung ganyan po ang suggestion at magkakaroon ng downloading ng funds po sa LGU, then I believe it may be feasible, but I guess it has to be properly studied lang po. I respect the position of Mayor Isko Moreno, pero siguro dapat aralin lang kung sakali magkakaroon nga ng ganong funding transition, it has to be studied and let's see if it's
What about, Mayor, what about sharing best practices? Kasi nabanggit nga nung Marikina, nitong recent flooding natin, na sila bumili ng sarili nilang mga dredging, mga heavy equipment, ganyan. I think yun naman nasa kakayahan nung budget ng mga LGU. Meron ba tayong mga sharing ng best practices since magkakasundo naman ang mga mayor sa Metro Manila?
Yes, actually, yun naman po yun nga, maayos po kasi talagang samahan natin ngayon. So, every now and then naman po kami nag-uusap din ano yung mga pwedeng gawin. Sometimes we have common problems, but again, iba-iba rin kasing demographics natin. For instance, Camanava, yung Caloocan, Malabon, Nabot, at Valenzuela area, ibang ang situation nila because halos talagang mababa pong elevation nila, kaya konting ulan lang, konting high tide lang, umaapaw na ang Manila Bay sa kanila. No?
Yeah.
Iba-iba talaga yung hinaharap na mga issues and concerns. But at the end of the day, kung meron tayong mas-share na best practices na pwedeng gayahin at implement sa cities, hindi naman po pinapagkait ng mga mayors yan sa isa't isa.
But finally, Mayor, you mentioned solid waste management. Any new initiatives coming from the council? Because in the last Krising typhoon, we understand that there was 600 metric tons of garbage collected in pumping stations, in drainage, blocking drainage. So, what can you do?
Well, alam nyo, talaga it's implementation. Napakarami na natin mga batas, napakarami na nating ordinansa. Kinakailangan ma-implement ang mabuti. At kinakailangan talaga yung disiplina ng ating mga mamamayan. This is a shared responsibility. The local governments have responsibilities to implement all of these ordinances to ensure that everyone complies. But of course, the citizens have responsibilities as well. Diba? Dapat talaga paging disiplinado tayo. Alam nyo kanina nga, no, kinukompute namin yung average basura na generate sa Metro Manila. We were talking with Secretary John Vic Remulla. So on the average daw, one person can generate 1 kilo of trash per day. And if there are 15 million Filipinos in Metro Manila, that's 15 million kilos a day. Diba? So kinakailangan talaga ay tama ang waste disposal natin. Diba? Huwag tayo magtatapon sa mga waterways, sa mga drainage systems natin. Kaya lang, hanggang ngayon, nakikita pa rin natin eh. Pag humupa na yung tubig baha, nandiyan na yung basura.
It needs a creative solution, Mayor.
Well, we can always explore other creative solutions. Tama naman. Kami naman po sa MMC, open-minded naman po kami kung meron mga pwedeng paraan na gamitin, no? Para nga mas maging disiplinado ang ating mga mamamayan, mas maintindihan nila na whatever flooding we're experiencing now, basically halos malaking bahagi niyan, man-made din eh.
Yeah.
Tao rin ang may kasalanan, di ba? Tayo rin naman kasi hindi rin tayo lahat disiplinado. I'm not saying fault po ng mga mamamayan. Ang sinasabi lang natin, meron pa rin mga citizens na talaga nagtatapon ng basura sa mga maling lugar.
All right, we thank you for talking to us, San Juan City Mayor Francis Zamora.
Now, in other news, families of missing Sabungeros pressed charges against personalities tagged in the disappearance of their kin, led by gambling tycoon Atong Ang. Some of the complainants had filed cases before, but backed out for unknown reasons. Mobile journalist Kayla Makantan has this report.
Around 30 families flanked by CIDG operatives went to the Department of Justice on Friday to file murder and serious illegal detention complaints. They sued personalities allegedly behind the disappearance of their keen Sabong agents and enthusiasts believed to have been killed and dumped into a lake. At the forefront of the charges are businessman Atong Ang and other bigwigs in the online cockfight industry.
Ang mga kinasuhan po namin, siyempre yung aming talagang matagal nang hinala si Mr. Atong Ang, kasama sila Eric De La Rosa, RJ Mejia, at saka yung mga pulis, si Attorney Caroline Cruz. Ito po yung mga kasama po dun sa aming mga complaints.
Ano po yung reklamong inihain po?
Multiple murder po at saka serious illegal detention. Ang hiling namin sa kanila ay talagang masusing pag-aralan, investigahan para talagang magkaroon ng probable cause at para sa gayon magkaroon ng basis para ma-issue na po sila ng warrant of arrest sa lalong madaling panahon.
Ruel Gomez, one of the complainants, turned emotional as they turned in the complaints. This is the second time he is filing charges for his missing son. The first complaint was submitted by his son's common law wife, but she later on backed out of the case. Ruel's wife, Merlene, says this time they will see this case through to the end.
Masakit sa isang magulang po yung talaga nangyari hanggang ngayon po. Hindi po, sa totoo lang po, hindi pa ako nakamove on. Kasi yung anak ko na hindi naman po sa bahay, bakit gano'n na po ang ginawa sa kanya? Kung yung sabi nila na ninyo, yun na po ba ang bayad, yung pas lang yun sila. Ganun na lang po ba ang ginawa ninyo?
The Department of Justice believes Atongang's role in the disappearances is significant from the testimonies of self-proclaimed whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan.
Siya ang main player dyan, siya ang amo ni Totoy or Dondon. Pera niya pinababayad para sa trabaho na ginagawa ng mga kontraktor na pulis. Meron namang witness who testifies to the fact that that person was involved in the commission of these crimes as the mastermind and as the head of a criminal organization. So basically we take it from that.
Remulla also confirms Patidongan's brothers Elakim and Jose will also be charged.
Mabigat ang mga paratang kasi mabigat ang kwento ng taong naroon sa paggaganap ng krimen. Ginaganap yung krimen sa harap niya. At marahil kasama siya roon.
On the question of whether or not actress Gretchen Barreto will also face complaints, the Justice Secretary has this answer.
Maybe if there's a Jane Doe, maybe she's the one. I don't know. Pero kasama yan sa pwede nating sabihin na persons of interest.
However, Secretary Remulla still wants Ang and other respondents to be accorded due process, giving them every opportunity to answer the charges.
Yeah, fair naman tayo eh. Hindi naman tayo, we do not condemn without listening eh. Ang mahalaga, due process, di ba? No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
According to State Prosecutor General Richard Fadulyon, they have to first evaluate the affidavits of the families. If sufficient evidence is found, preliminary investigation will follow. Once the initial probe starts, that's when respondents will be called in.
During the evaluation, it's only the party that is filing the complaint, whose evidence is presented to us, that will be considered. Yan lang yung tinitingnan natin, kung sapat na siya. Kung sapat na siya, then saka pa lamang ito may re-refer for preliminary investigation. At doon na po hihingin yung panig naman ng kabila.
Mobile journalist Kayla Macantan, we are One News.
We're going to pause for another quick break, but when we return, lawmakers want the DPWH to stay out of investigations into questionable flood control and other projects. The reasons, next on The Big Story. Keep it here.
Welcome back to The Big Story. One lawmaker is calling on the DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan to take a leave of absence. Bacolod Representative Albi Benitez believes this is one way to ensure the probe on flood control projects will be impartial. In a statement, Benitez said, and we quote, "The implementer should not be the evaluator, just like in a company." The lawmaker is asking Bonoan to go on leave out of delicadeza, saying such a simple act of good faith will ensure a credible process. Both houses of Congress will hold hearings on the alleged corruption in flood control projects. During his State of the Nation address on Monday, President Bongbong Marcos ordered the DPWH to review projects that are substandard or are mere figments of the imagination. For the Makabayan bloc, the Commission on Audit should lead the investigation since it has the technical expertise and can make sense of previous audit reports.
Meanwhile, despite issuing an apology, the congressman caught on camera watching an Sabungero game is not yet off the hook. Ethics Committee Chair Congressman J.C. Abalos said they won't ignore what AGA party list Nicanor Briones did during Monday's speakership election. That's when he watched a video of Sabong sent by his nephew, a vice already illegal since 2022.
Kung may pagkakamali po, meron po tayong tamang paraan ng pagwawasto. I would like to let everyone know na hindi po natin pinabaliwala o babaliwalain ang insidenteng ito. I want everyone to expect, asahan niyo po, na tutuparin ng Committee on Ethics ang aming tungkulin. And we will make sure that we will abide by the proper process before coming up with a decision on matters. We can't afford to right a wrong with another wrong. Sundan po natin ang tamang proseso.
But for the man of the hour who came forward on Wednesday, he says he's ready to face the consequences of his action. Briones already lost his seat in the powerful Commission on Appointments as representative of the minority bloc. He will be replaced by LP-GMA party list representative Alan T.
Hindi naman totoo yung paratang sa atin na tayo nagsusugal to sa nagpuputuhan kay Speaker. Hindi naman tayo binigyan ng pagkakataon tanungin. Medyo unfair na nagkaroon ng ganyang napakalaking issue. Tao lang tayo, may nag-message sa atin. Tiningnan ko. And then nakita niya yung video, hindi man lang niya ako tinanong. Sinabi kagad nagsusugal tayo sa online sabong.
And for our big picture on this Friday night, some good news. Generosity comes naturally to every Filipino. Just take this latest edition of the World Giving Report by the Charities Aid Foundation. 3 out of 4 Filipinos donated nearly 1.5% of their incomes to individuals or families in need, as well as charities and religious organizations. And that makes the Philippines the 24th most generous country in the world. One expert said the ranking underscores a facet of Filipinos' core identity, compassion, and connectedness to others.
A nice note to end the week.
Yes, I like it. When we end the week on a...
Yeah, a good note.
And it's also Friday payday, so good luck sa traffic to everyone.
Kaya pala.
Sa kasabi lang, good note pa. Sorry.
That's a good reminder though.
Ikaw talaga, throwing
Just
cold
so that we
water
can brace
right away.
ourselves.
That's true, no?
Okay, and that's it for the big story this week. Thanks so much for watching.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
We'll be back here Monday at 7:30 p.m. Good night and have a great weekend, everyone.
Meanwhile, we have coming up next, Play-by-Play with Andre Felix and Cheska Liton Calao. Guys, Friday na.
Happy Friday!
I know.
Friday, it's the 1st of August.
Kayo rin ba?
Madam Ses,
Oh,
payday, saan tayo?
Alis na kami bago
Bakit
kayo
ako?
matapos.
Doon tayo sa
dapat
pinakamalaki.
ikaw
Doon tayo
lang
sa
ang lalaki dito, ikaw ang
Oh,
paya.
generous daw. Generous yung mga Filipinos.
Oh, giving 1.5%
Yeah.
of...
Hindi si Pawi sagot ko. Kami sagot mo.
Munti ko na nga kainin yung fried chicken mo doon kagabi doon sa
Oo
labas.
nga, wala ka man lang, may tinatago ka pa lang, meron pang baka naman.
Hashtag baka naman sabihin ko pala. Wala siya
Lechon
masabi, Cheska.
baka. Lechon baka.
Isang box ng fried chicken, isang box
Well,
ng
we
lechon.
should ask Patrick actually, our big boss.
Yes!
Congratulations, Sir Patrick.
Oh, congratulations to Boss Pipi. Well-deserved, of course, VP for news and congratulations. Alam kong magagalit siya sa akin, pero susunod na. Si Joffrey Francisco. Oh.
Hi,
In
sir.
the works. Oh, in the works. Sabi niya, hindi pa official. Pero congratulations in advance. Papizza naman kayo.
Papizza, papansit, pa-barbecue.
Tama.
So anong balita?
Lechon!
Good news rin ba sa world of sports on this Friday?
Yes.
Oh,
We
sabi.
have
Oh.
many.
Marami.
More than one. Good news. Ayan, gusto natin yan.
Great show, great week. Have a great weekend. Have a restful weekend. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you once again to the ladies of The Big Story, to Sestri Lon, Sean Yao, and Pauline Versosa. On our show, tatanong kung may good news. Well, let's start things off with NBA offseason news as another star gets paid. Good news for him. Plus, a check on Gilas Pilipinas and their preparations in Saudi Arabia for the FIBA Asia Cup.
We've also got volleyball, including stories on